everyone, this is the Learning System Patrol. I am Keith Alcala, your news anchor for today. Today we will be tackling about social systems, the key elements of social systems, the school as community, and the school as a learning community. Well then, it is known that social system is a systematic network of relationships. So let us hear more about it from Miss Turin.
Thank you, Ms. Alcala. Good day, everyone. We will now tackle Lesson 1. What is social system? A social system is a systematic network of relationships that occurs between individuals, communities, and institutions to form a coherent whole. According to Thian and Razak 2014, the actions and dealings of members of a given group or groups constituted for mutual determination are referred to as a social system. In a typical social system model, each member interacts and communicates with one another to organize and improve social interactions. The following are the basic assumptions of social system models. Social systems are open systems. If the school will conduct an activity on the next day and the president of the country announces a sudden holiday on the same day, the school will have no choice but to move the said activity. Take note that not only mandates can affect the school but also politics, history, and a host of other environmental forces. Social systems consists of interdependent parts, characteristics, and activities that contribute to and receive from the whole. Every decision made just like implementing new policies will always affect each member of the school, both the teaching and non-teaching staff and the students. Social systems are peopled. Every teacher is unique as well as students. Therefore, each member of the school act depends on their needs, beliefs, goals, and roles. Social systems are goal-oriented. Each social system has goals, and the school's primary goal is to transfer knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes for the students to be better and more responsible citizens. Social systems are structural. All of the schools have a division of labor, specialization, and hierarchy. Social systems are normative. The school have rules and regulations to keep the image of the system. A common example of this is in private schools. Revealing clothes are not allowed as well as colored hairs. Social systems are sanction-bearing. Schools have formal mechanisms before giving a sanction. Before conducting a sanction, the mistake done needs to be studied to know if the sanction will be expulsion, suspension, and etc. Social systems are political. Schools have power relations that can affect the administrator and teacher activities. Social systems have distinctive cultures. A school has its own beliefs and shared values that can be found in its vision and mission that influence behavior. Social systems is conceptual and relative. A classroom can be considered as a social system. A faculty can be considered as a social system. The school, which is the classroom, and the faculty can be seen is a social system. All formal organizations are social systems, but all social systems are not formal organizations. School as a social system aid in the formation of varied people into a single society with a shared national identity, as well as the preparation of future generations for citizenship tasks. Schools' structures have characteristics of rational, natural, and open systems as social systems, according to Nissan 2014. Similar to the bureaucratic organizations, they feature hierarchies of authority, goals, and role expectations. This is the model of social systems for schools. We have the environment and it has transformation process because the primary goal of a school is to transfer knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes. Structural systems. Positions in hierarchy indicates roles formed from those expectations, which assign duties to specialized persons. The principal, assistant principal, guidance counselor, subject coordinators, and classroom instructors are normally in charge of the structural system. This structural system also includes utilities, staff, and non-teaching employees. The cultural system or shared orientations comes next. The various ways in which different cultures are embodied in the school system, where teachers and students share a part of themselves in order to improve student achievement and the school's overall success. The political system is the next aspect to consider. Perhaps the power relationship make it more likely that school will adhere to policies and guidelines in order to maintain a well-organized institution. The BSED and CHED, for example, provide common policies and procedures to ensure that students obtain actual knowledge, skill, and values. Individual systems follow in terms of knowledge and values. Each have different needs, belief, and dependent on the level of cognition to have knowledge, understand tasks, and display the desired behavior. Since people are such an important part of a social systems, their favorable attitudes toward the organization have a considerable impact on the system's overall health. In the model, inputs and outputs can also be seen. Also remember that how the inputs are being used, applied, or done will always reflect in the output. That is Lesson 1, the Social System Model. Lesson 2 will be reported by Ms. Bation.
Thank you for that, Ms. Turin. In this module, we will talk over about the 8 elements of school as a social system. Elements of school, according to Jensen 2015, are crucial for the sustainability of schools, for they provide leading indicators that have a positive effect on student learning, and also organizational effectiveness is determined through these elements. Allow us to go further into each element and learn more about the critical significance that they play. First element is structure. Formal organizations such as schools have structures composed of bureaucratic expectations and rules, hierarchy of offices and positions, rules and regulations, and specializations. For example, in schools, learners taught to respect hierarchical command given by the dean, the school head, or the principal. As believed by Laura, Berrick, and Folkes 2006, when these characteristics occur together, as they frequently do in secondary schools, they tend to produce a distinctively bureaucratic climate in which teachers and students are expected to be loyal to the school organization, behave consistently according to the rules and regulations, and defer to the authority of their superiors. The second element is the individual. Since social system is a structured set of interrelationship that exists between groups and institutions to form a cohesive whole, therefore individual is a basic unit of every social system since we cannot form a group or institutions without an individual. As stated by Coran and Moncrief Brazzard 2007, that every individual inside a particular system has its different needs and beliefs that affect the behavior, and we should be considering all of them. Individuals' needs and expectations are flexible, and this should be adaptable to formal roles, and thus, they provide a room for discretion in behavior. Next element is the culture. As determined by Lanini and Tahena 2017, what teachers and student practices they follow, how they interact with one another, what values inform their behavior, and how leaders model their behavior, these become the primary guiding forces in the school's capacity to learn, improve, design its long-term vision and mission, and impact the various stakeholders ranging from students to parents. Moreover, in school, for example, the leader attends professional development courses alongside the instructors, exhibiting a commitment to continuous learning, following the human values of love, respect, understanding, trust, compassion, and appropriate behavior. Leaders may develop a culture that will produce a model environment in which all education stakeholders will not only survive but thrive. For the next element, we have the politics. As believed by Hoy and Miskel 2007, politics in education affects everyone involved: the teachers, the students, the administrators, policymakers, and even the general public. In this regard, instructors have the most authority to decide how essential these issues are via teaching. They decide at what level the learners are taught particular principles. Education and politics have a symbiotic relationship, which means that education influences politics and vice versa. For example, the collective intelligence, ambitions, and ideals of the body politics are influenced by education or lack thereof. Let us now move on to the fifth element, which is the technical core, the teaching and learning, the system of organizational activity in which the organization's product is generated. Many administrative decisions in school are shaped by the teaching and learning process, which serves as a technical core. The technical core is the very heart of the education process. As claimed by Mizell 2010, the effectiveness of professional development depends on how carefully educators conceive, plan, and implement it. In education, according to Spillane, Cohen, and Selig 2019, a well-worked-out course lesson plan will act as a core of teaching-learning process. It answers all the necessary questions and provides sufficient support to the teacher so that the teaching becomes smooth and easy. Next element, we have environment. As mentioned by Kastner 2004, the type of environment a student belongs plays a crucial role in their learning. According to research conducted by Molla and Turin 2007, environments have a critical impact in students' achievement. For example, students that study in a favorable learning environment are more motivated, engaged, and have a greater overall learning capacity. However, students learning in poor circumstances, the ones that are unpleasant, noisy, or full of distractions, will find it's far more difficult to retain knowledge and stay interested. With this in mind, let's take a look at how your surroundings influence how you learn, as well as some of the greatest strategies to build your perfect learning environment. Next element, we have the outcomes. The emphasis on outcomes establishes the clear expectations of what must be completed at the end of the learning process. For example, in school, students will know what is expected of them, and teachers will know what they need to teach during the class. Clarity is essential over the course of a school year and when collaborative teaching is involved. Each team member or school year will have a clear understanding of what needs to be accomplished in each class or at each level, allowing students to progress. Furthermore, it assists instructors and students in reaching an agreement on the purpose and goals of an academic program. Faculty may begin to establish a clear roadmap for students' achievement by giving clear and comprehensive learning outcomes. For the last element, we have the feedback loops. The internal and external. In education, the notion of a feedback loop is similar to any other. Learners perform a task, receive positive or negative feedback, and alter their activities accordingly. They can change their paths by doing so. Even little modifications can have a significant influence on learning and growth. According to educational researcher Jen Hattie 2008, the most essential thing a teacher can do for learners is to provide detailed and timely feedback. However, instructors must understand the distinction between feedback and praise. Praise is when a teacher says to a pupil, "Good job," and feedback is telling the student why they were successful or what needs to be improved.
The next topic is all about the school as a community. If a school is to be inclusive, it will need to locate itself within society. So managers and practitioners will then need to consider their place within the broader context. This chapter defines schools as a community within a community. As such, schools reflect community needs, both social and educational. So, relationship with parents and the broader community are central to the effectiveness of schools. And within this chapter, we will discuss the issues based on research undertaken in a range of schools, nationally and internationally. So I have prepared to you guys 3 parts of my report. The section 1 is how schools are a community within a community. The section 2 is the relationship between school and the community. The third section of my report is about the advantages of increased parental involvement in school. So how we gonna define schools as a community? Well then, defining schools as a community if schools are to be inclusive. So every school should be central to its local community. As I have said earlier, managers and practitioners have a responsibility to understand that their school has to become a community within a community. Members of the school will be the members of their local community, reflecting its beliefs and values, conveyed through the action, behavior, and attitudes of the pupils, teaching and non-teaching staff, parents, governors, and LEA, or should I say, learning education authorities. So this time, we can define community as multidimensional with these 3 factors. First is the location. We can determine the community if it's dimensional within the location. First, the location where it is, the influence of the environment and systems of control. Second factor is the structure, the administrative elements and guidance that determine equality and provision. The third factor is the process. Process is the management of people and development of a shared understanding of beliefs and values. Okay, let's talk about community. So, community. Within the context of community, it is necessary to consider how education contributes to the lifelong experience of its members, including those with special educational needs. Yes, the home, local area, and neighborhood all contribute to the educational experience of each pupil. Mhm. That's right. And then critically, education in schools should be concerned with education within and for communities. So let's talk about school, home, and the community. So according to the book of Dewey from 1960, of Democracy and Education, it is referred to the social function of education but called for the removal of boundaries imposed by the scholastic tradition of the Middle Ages to a broad and comprehensive approach based on relations between the individual and society, the individual and the environment, and the school and the community. And also, according to Matchter of 2000, he found that the connection between education and society goes back to ancient times. Just like Plato was the first to discover the potential inherent in education for the improvement of society. In his opinion, the improvement of education depends mainly on the enhancement of social conditions, and the improvement of social conditions may be accomplished by education. Social and community. So, social and community, it emerges that the connection between the school and the community is not static but develops a continuum. Yes, there are three patterns of connection between the school and the community as described in the educational literature. Number one, the closed door pattern is the school deals with all the child's educational and social problems, and community involvement and intervention are minimal. Yes, that's right. Therefore, according to Friedman from 1986, the closed door policy towards the community needs feedback. That's right. Friedman's view, a closed door policy will waste energy without the right guidance. Yes. So in the absence of constant input from the parents and the community, the school will be unaware of changes occurring in these systems and hence will be unable to adapt itself and its curricula to those changes and will keep degenerating. Yes, that's a closed door pattern. Number two, the open door pattern. So, what is open door pattern? So let me explain it to you. Whereas the school and the parents operate as open systems, so that information flows freely in both directions. So the school, open door policy makes the parents partners to their child's educational process and strives to become an influential factor in the life of the community. Yeah, the basic assumption of systems theory is that the open system is designed to process the inputs of its external environment. Mhm. That's the open door pattern. So, the third one is the balance pattern. Balance pattern. So, the balance pattern, the school and the parents set the degree of closeness or distance between them in order to achieve their educational and social goals to the optimal extent. Yes, that's right. So when the distance is large, the school has to bridge the gap and reach out to the community. When the distance is small, the school has to close its gates somewhat. Parents and families. Parents and schools need to do everything they can to help their children with special educational needs. So, an active partnership between parents and schools offers great benefits. Yeah, you heard it right. And then schools have found homeschool contracts to be of significant benefit in involving parents constructively in considering educational plans. Yes. It has been shown also that when pupils have relationships outside the family in which they feel valued and respected, this will help to protect them against adversity within the family. Pupils may nonetheless feel inhibited about discussing changes in their lives, such as family breakdown. So now let's go to the benefits of parental involvement in the school. Parental involvement in the school enriches the pupil's world and extends their horizons because when the parents take part in the educational process, the pupils are exposed to a variety of people who represent different worlds in terms of life experiences, age, occupation, hobbies, and mentality. So these encounters afford many opportunities for learning, enrichment, and identification. That's according from Noy from 1984. Anyhow, parents benefit personally from their involvement, which enables them to deepen their knowledge of their child's world. The subjects taught, the teaching methods, and effective forms of negotiation with children. In addition, involvement in their child's education may help the parents to develop their own personalities and satisfy their needs. So, teachers also benefit from the teachers benefit from the parents' participation in the educational work in the school. And that was our lesson 3, that school as a community. Now let's proceed to our lesson 4. Lesson 4, we will talk about
School as a learning community.
Why our learning communities are important. Then according to Center on the Developing Child in Harvard University, achieving widespread change in early childhood field requires tackling an interrelated set of complex social problems. To solve these problems, the field needs a strong community of learning and practice that will work to identify multiple intervention strategies for different groups of children and families.
These are the essential elements for a learning community according to Yad Michael 2001. A servant leader who performs as a guide and nurture. Leaders sow the seeds of community, nurture it as it grows, and protect it at once it is established. They take the lead through serving others, and they take the initiative by following those who follow them into leadership. Second, a shared moral purpose. Sharing a vision is more than just agreeing on a good concept. It is a mental image of what is important to an individual and to an organization. A sense of trust and respect among all members. Every member of the community, as well as the group's mission, must be understood by the educational leader. Thus, members' lives and work revolve around achieving a moral goal, fostering trust and mutual respect in the process. An open environment for collaborative decision making. Staff are encouraged not only to be involved in the process of developing a shared vision, but to use that vision as a guidepost in decision making about teaching and learning in the school. The figure shows the characteristics of learning communities, representing different ways of defining the boundaries of a community according to the study of West and Williams 2017. Access. Access may have been the simplest method to define a community at one time. This also refers to what the member of the community have in common, just like their meeting place and the time schedules. Relationships. Being part of a learning community is more than just being physically present. The emotional links that bind and unite members of the community are the key to forming a strong sense of community in many areas. Vision. Communities established by a common vision or sense of purpose are less usually discussed than communities defined by relationships. Yet how members of a community perceive their group is crucial. Function. What members do is perhaps the most basic approach to determine the limits of a learning community. Although members have different tasks to accomplish, each of them should still have the same vision or mental focus regarding the community's purpose. What is a community of practice? Community of practice is a term coined by Etienne Wenger to describe groups of people who share a concern or passion for something they do. It underlines that we all learn from the communities in which we find ourselves in everyday life and how we interact with one another. The characteristics of communities of practice will be tackled by Ms. Alcala.
So here are the 3 characteristics of communities of practice. Number 1, the domain. Domain gives an identity to the communities of practice. The members of the community share a common domain of interest. Domain tells about what type of information is to be shared within the community. Number 2, community. Community is a group of people who belong to the same domain and share knowledge in order to help each other. Communities of practice has communities in which people share the knowledge they possess in a particular domain by conducting activities like group discussions and meetings. Number 3, practice. Practice, it is defined as the set of ways to do the work in domains such as communication and problem sharing. Communities of practice have a well-defined set of activities to be adopted in sharing knowledge within the community. So these are the three essential characteristics of communities of practice: the domain, the community, and the practice. So every organization has several domains with functioning on it.
School Learning Action Cells, Professional Learning Communities. The Department of Education issued a policy on the Learning Action Cells as a K-12 basic education program school-based continuing professional development strategy for the improvement of teaching and learning in accordance with the implementation of Republic Act 10533 or the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. This DepEd advocacy indicates that every teacher should be certified, adequately guided, and equipped with the necessary knowledge. Reiterating or reviewing learning processes can be used to teaching and learning process. Various areas or concerns in carrying out the tasks and obligations of a good and efficient teacher. School Learning Action Cell aims are as follows: to enhance the teaching learning process, which will lead to better result learning among learners; to develop effective teachers; to allow instructors to collaborate and help one another in order to continually improve understanding of subject and pedagogy, practice, skills, and attitude; and last is to develop a professional collaborative culture among school administrators, teachers, and students, as well as the entire community. As I watched the documentary film about the EDUC session of teachers in Lucena City, it made me realize the importance of this session. It hones the teachers to be fully developed. It tests the teachers' creativity in implementing and innovating ways for the effective learning of the students. One of the teachers shared her experiences with the EDUC session. She was transferred to another grade level, and according to her, the collaboration with other colleagues is crucial in implementing this session. There are instances that they know something that other teachers don't, and through this policy, it allows them to share and exchange thoughts, knowledge, and ideas.
Alright, thank you so much. Thank you for watching School System Patrol. On behalf of all of us at Channel E1, see you next time.